The Buddha sat beneath the ancient Bodhi tree, its leaves dancing gently in the warm afternoon breeze. His disciples gathered closely, their eyes filled with reverence and curiosity. Suffering is not an aberration of life, but a natural result of our attachments and aversions, he explained. The disciples sat in silent contemplation, their eyes fixed on their master, eager to absorb the wisdom he shared. He gently raised the lotus flower, allowing its beauty to reflect the sunlight filtering through the leaves. This flower blooms because of the mud, he continued. Not in spite of it, but because of it. The disciples listened attentively, their expressions a mix of awe and contemplation. Ananda, ever curious, was the first to speak. Master, Ananda asked, how can we rise from the mud without being tainted by its filth and heaviness? The Buddha smiled softly, placing the lotus flower gently onto the earth. He drew a circle in the soil with his finger. The mud represents suffering, he said, a universal truth that touches every being. Yet it holds the seed of awakening. The disciples leaned forward, their breath quiet, their hearts open to the wisdom about to unfold. To live purposefully, the Buddha continued, one must embrace suffering with courage, as it leads to growth and compassion. He gestured to the grove surrounding them, the vibrant greenery thriving despite the harshness of the soil below. The gentle rustle of leaves accompanied Buddha's voice as he continued guiding the group on their spiritual journey. The first noble truth is the presence of dukkha. Suffering permeates life, but do not despair at this revelation, he said. Suffering teaches us the impermanence of all things, the Buddha explained. And impermanence is the path to liberation and peace. A disciple named Rahula, seated quietly near the edge of the circle, raised his hand hesitantly. Master, Rahula asked, how do we transform suffering into wisdom, rather than allowing it to consume us with pain? The Buddha nodded, his gaze serene yet piercing, as though seeing through the veil of worldly illusions. Through right understanding and mindful awareness, the Buddha replied, recognize suffering as neither punishment nor failure, but as a teacher. He picked up a small stone from the ground, holding it aloft for all to see. Imagine this stone, he said, thrown into a calm lake, causing ripples to spread in every direction. The disciples watched as the Buddha tossed the stone gently into a nearby pond, its surface breaking into concentric waves. The ripples represent the effects of suffering, the Buddha said, but with practice, the mind becomes the calm lake again. His disciples nodded in unison, their spirits uplifted by the profound clarity of his teaching. In the heart of suffering lies the seed of compassion, the Buddha continued. For only through pain do we understand others. He closed his eyes briefly, as though reflecting on the endless sorrows and joys of existence itself. Each of you is like the lotus, he said, rooted in the mud yet destined to reach for the light. The disciples exchanged glances, feeling a profound sense of unity in their shared struggles and aspirations. Practice mindfulness, the Buddha advised, to see suffering clearly, and practice compassion to transform it into boundless love and wisdom. Desiring peace is natural, yasa, but learn to seek it within rather than grasp externally. Craving breeds attachment. Peace is found in acceptance. The first step, the Buddha said, is to cultivate right view, understanding the Four Noble Truths as the foundation of wisdom. He stood slowly, his hands pressed together in a gesture of reverence, inviting his disciples to rise as well. Disciples, he said, observe the world around you, the transient beauty of the blossoms and the steadfastness of the roots. The disciples followed, his gaze, their eyes alighting on the harmonious interplay of nature and its impermanence. To see the world as it truly is, the Buddha continued, is to free yourselves from clinging and aversion. He began to walk slowly, his disciples following in silent reverence. their steps mirroring his deliberate pace. Purposeful living, the Buddha said, is not about escaping the mud, but about finding meaning and growth within it. He paused by a cluster of blooming lotuses, their petals unfurling gracefully in the fading sunlight. Every petal, the Buddha said, is a moment of awareness, and every stem is the strength born from enduring suffering. He knelt beside the blossoms, tracing their delicate edges with his fingers, as though communing with their silent wisdom. Practice gratitude for the mud, the Buddha advised, for it is the crucible in which your spirits are forged and purified. The disciples bowed their heads, their hearts swelling with a newfound understanding of their own struggles and resilience. Through your struggles, the Buddha said, you gain the insight to guide others, just as the lotus uplifts the pond. His words resonated deeply, their simplicity carrying a profound and enduring truth that settled within each heart. As you walk this path, the Buddha said, remember that you are not alone, for all beings share in this journey. The disciples nodded, their resolve fortified, their hearts lighter as they absorbed the wisdom of their beloved teacher. Let the lotus remind you, the Buddha concluded, that beauty and purity arise not apart from the mud, but because of it. The disciples prostrated themselves, their gratitude flowing like an unspoken prayer, a silent hymn of devotion. The Buddha smiled gently, his eyes reflecting the eternal stillness and compassion that anchored his every word and action. He turned and walked further into the grove, his steps purposeful and serene, his disciples following close behind. Even in their passing lies beauty, he said. Suffering, like the petals, falls away when you grasp the truth. Wisdom is your soil, compassion, your sun, Buddha concluded. The disciples bowed deeply to Buddha, their hearts filled with reverence and a growing clarity about the nature of suffering. Another day, the Buddha walked along the banks of the Ganges, its waters glistening under the early morning sun. His disciples followed him, their footsteps light yet deliberate, their minds attuned to the rhythm of nature's song. Time flows like this river, the Buddha said, his gaze fixed on the steady currents, their movement ceaseless and unwavering. It carries all things forward, leaving behind the shores of yesterday and moving toward the horizon of tomorrow. Approaching her gently, Buddha asked, what burdens you, dear one? What sorrow causes your tears to flow so profoundly? The woman looked up, her face etched with grief. O enlightened one, I grieve for my child who left this world. Master, Kema asked, how can we embrace the river's flow without fearing what it may carry us toward or leave behind? The Buddha turned to him, his expression gentle, his presence an anchor amidst the ebb and flow of existence. Purposeful living requires acceptance, the Buddha replied, seeing the river not as an enemy but as a companion to your journey. He bent down, scooping a handful of water into his palm, the droplets sparkling like jewels. This water cannot be held forever, he said. It slips through the fingers as all things do, transient and beyond grasp. Buddha said softly, suffering cannot be erased, but understanding it can ease its grip upon your heart and soul. He handed her a small bowl and spoke gently. Kema lowered his head, his thoughts reflecting the weight of his attachments, his desire to hold on to fleeting joys. To let go, the Buddha said, is to rise above the turbulence of desire and fear, to find stillness amidst the flow. He straightened and turned toward the river, the sunlight casting a golden sheen across its surface. The river teaches us, the Buddha explained, that clinging to the banks prevents us from moving toward the vast ocean of wisdom. The disciples stood silently, absorbing the metaphor, their minds awakening to the freedom of release. Another day, the group stopped to rest beneath a cluster of willows, their branches swaying gracefully in the cool breeze. The Buddha picked up a fallen leaf, holding it delicately as though listening to its silent testimony of impermanence. This leaf, he said, was once green and vibrant, dancing under the sun, but its journey has brought it to this moment. Ananda knelt beside him, his expression filled with curiosity and devotion, his heart yearning for deeper understanding. Master, Ananda asked, how can we find peace in the face of impermanence, when everything we cherish must someday fade away? The Buddha placed the leaf gently onto the river's surface, watching it drift away with the current. Impermanence is not an enemy, the Buddha replied. It is a guide, a reminder that life is precious in its transience. His voice carried the weight of timeless truth, each word an invitation to see the beauty in life's fleeting nature. Embrace impermanence, the Buddha said, for it teaches you to treasure each moment, to live fully in the present without fear. Ananda bowed his head, his heart lightened by the wisdom bestowed upon him, his thoughts clearer and more serene. Another day, the Buddha led his disciples to a bend in the river, where the waters swirled and eddied in gentle patterns. He stood silently for a moment, his gaze fixed on the interplay of currents and ripples, a dance of harmony. The disciples marveled at the simplicity yet profound depth of Buddha's teaching, their hearts swelling with purpose and understanding. Buddha invited the grieving woman to walk with him, as he continued teaching his disciples amidst the vibrant village life. Master, Sariputta asked, what is the ultimate destination? The ocean of wisdom that awaits beyond the river's winding journey? The Buddha smiled faintly, his eyes reflecting both the vastness of the cosmos and the intimacy of the present moment. The ocean is enlightenment, the Buddha replied, a state of unity, where the self dissolves into the boundless expanse of compassion and understanding. He reached down and touched the water, its coolness a fleeting connection to the essence of life. The river teaches us patience, the Buddha continued, for its journey is long, and its path is shaped by the obstacles it encounters. Sariputta bowed deeply, his mind filled with the clarity of purpose, his resolve strengthened to walk the path. Another day, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the Buddha spoke again, his voice carrying softly across the twilight air. The river flows without resistance, he said. It does not fight the rocks or the bends, but moves around them with grace. The disciples gathered closer, their eyes fixed on the shimmering water, their thoughts attuned to the teachings unfolding before them. Resistance arises, the Buddha explained, when we cling to desires or push against fears, preventing the natural flow of life. Practice acceptance, the Buddha advised, to see each challenge as a lesson, each bend in the path as an opportunity to grow. The disciples nodded solemnly, their hearts swelling with a renewed understanding of resilience and the art of letting go. Another day, the Buddha paused at the riverbank, observing the reflection of the moon shimmering on the water's surface. The moon is constant, he said, but its reflection is ever-changing, distorted by the ripples and currents below. Ananda spoke again, his voice soft yet fervent, his devotion to the teachings a beacon guiding his every step. Master, Ananda asked, how can we see clearly, beyond the distortions created by our own fears and desires? The Buddha knelt and touched the water gently, stilling its surface, allowing the reflection to appear calm and undisturbed. Clarity arises through mindfulness, he replied, by stilling the mind and observing reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. The river teaches us wisdom, the Buddha concluded, for its flow mirrors the dance of life, the harmony between change and purpose. The disciples prostrated themselves, their gratitude pouring forth like the river itself, an endless stream of devotion. The moonlight bathed the grove in a gentle glow, its radiance a quiet testament to the Buddha's timeless wisdom. The disciples rose, their hearts filled with resolve, their minds open to the lessons carried by the river's unwavering flow. Another day, the Buddha sat in the forest, his disciples gathered around him, their faces illuminated by the soft morning light. A large, polished mirror hung from a tree, its surface reflecting the surrounding greenery with clarity and detail. "The mirror shows your outer appearance," the Buddha said, his voice resonating with calm wisdom. "But the true reflection lies within." He gestured toward the mirror, inviting each disciple to look closely and observe their own reflections. Beneath the vast canopy of stars, their hearts glowed, illuminated by the wisdom shared and the love embraced during the day. Another day, Buddha and his disciples gathered atop a serene hill, overlooking a valley bathed in the golden hues of twilight. "The inner mirror," he said, "is polished through mindfulness, through cleansing the mind of greed, hatred, and delusion." Another day, the Buddha spoke again. His disciples gathered closely under the branches of the Bodhi tree, their hearts open to his teaching. "Purposeful living begins with self-awareness," the Buddha said, "for without knowing yourself, you cannot understand the world around you." Sariputta, known for his thoughtful nature, raised his hand and spoke, his voice steady and filled with respect. "Master," Sariputta asked, "how can we cleanse the mind when the stains of past actions and thoughts linger so persistently?" The Buddha gestured toward the mirror, its surface gleaming in the sunlight, reflecting the gentle sway of the leaves above. "Just as this mirror is polished with care," he said, "the mind must be tended with right effort and noble actions." Another day, the Buddha addressed his disciples, his words carrying the weight of truth and the lightness of compassion. "The mind," he said, "is both your greatest ally and your greatest obstacle, depending on how you nurture its growth." The disciple Rahula, seated quietly near the edge of the circle, spoke hesitantly, his voice filled with youthful curiosity. "Master," Rahula asked, "how can we know if our thoughts and actions are guided by wisdom or deluded by ignorance?" The Buddha picked up a leaf from the ground, holding it delicately, its veins intricate and its edges slightly worn. "Wisdom arises," he said, "when the mind is still and attentive, allowing you to see reality as it truly is." Another day, as the sun set, casting golden hues across the forest, the Buddha spoke once more to his disciples. "Look into the mirror," he said, "and see beyond your physical reflection, into the depths of your thoughts and intentions." The disciples approached the mirror, their expressions thoughtful, their minds searching for answers in the reflection staring back at them. It harmonizes with wisdom, compassion, and acceptance to create flourishing. Positive psychology speaks of flow, the state where immersion in the present cultivates creativity and fulfillment, Buddha added. Another day, the Buddha spoke to his disciples about the nature of compassion and the interconnectedness of all beings. "Compassion," he said, "is born from understanding your own suffering, and recognizing that all beings share in the journey of life." Ananda, his expression earnest and thoughtful, spoke once more, his devotion to the teachings evident in his every word and gesture. "Master," Ananda asked, "how can we cultivate compassion when the mind is often consumed by anger, fear, or doubt?" The Buddha turned toward the mirror, his gaze steady and reflective, his voice carrying the weight of timeless wisdom. "Compassion grows," he said, "when you polish the mirror within, removing the stains of negativity and filling it with love and understanding." Another day, the Buddha addressed his disciples for the last time in this teaching, his words imbued with profound truth and clarity. "The mirror within," he said, "is a reflection of your spirit, your thoughts, and your actions, a guide to purposeful living." Sariputta bowed deeply, his voice steady as he asked the final question, his heart filled with gratitude and reverence. "Master," Sariputta asked, "what is the ultimate goal of polishing the inner mirror, of living with purpose and intention?" The Buddha smiled gently, his eyes reflecting both the vastness of the cosmos and the intimacy of the present moment. "The goal," he said, "is to see your true nature, a nature of wisdom, compassion, and interconnectedness with all beings. Another disciple asked, "Master, how can we sustain mindfulness when faced with distractions and chaos of the world?" Buddha replied, "Mindfulness is a practice, not a destination. It thrives through perseverance and patience amidst challenges and distractions." The Buddha rose slowly, his movements deliberate and serene, his presence a quiet testament to the path of purposeful living. The disciples followed him, their hearts filled with resolve, their minds attuned to the lessons carried in his words. The mirror hung silently on the tree, its surface reflecting the surrounding beauty, its purpose fulfilled as a conduit of truth. The forest whispered softly in the wind, carrying the echoes of the Buddha's teachings across the land. The disciples nodded, absorbing the profound wisdom imparted by Buddha, their hearts inspired to strengthen their mindfulness practice. A bird flew overhead, its flight graceful and free. Buddha pointed to it and said, "Observe its movements. Rooted in instinct, life flows naturally when the mind ceases to resist." Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.